Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy day 29. Today and tomorrow, that's it for What the WTF, y'all. And I've really been enjoying this, and I know many of you have as well. If you're new, welcome. This is the 30-day exploration of life after the eclipse, leaning into the unknown, leaning into, or leaning, I guess, towards creating new patterns, leaning away from the prison of history and the limitations of these ideas of scarcity and lack and competition that are just human creations. And so we've been here just seeing what happens. And personally, I've had a lot of really amazing shifts. I've had a lot of amazing recollections and reconnections to things that I had forgotten, to things that had just sort of been misplaced, I suppose, is a good way to say it. And it's been really, really invigorating. It's been a great reminder. It's been humbling. It's been exciting. It's been invigorating. It's been beautiful and lovely and wonderful. So thank you to everybody who has participated either in the lives or watching the replay. Thank you to everybody who has shared and liked and subscribed, and I mean that genuinely. Thank you to everybody who has offered financial support and donations. They make a very, very real difference in my life. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's really no way I think that I can express how grateful I am and how humbled I am by this whole experience, except for just to say thank you. From the bottom of my heart, from the tips of my toes to the top of my head, thank you. And what we've been doing for these past few days is I've been taking questions from y'all. We have a couple of questions today, and then we have our final day tomorrow. So if there are topics that we have discussed that you want to reopen or talk more about, if there are things that I haven't mentioned or discussed that you're curious about, if there are things that you personally are dealing with and you would like feedback or guidance on, while I cannot promise you, I can't do a personal reading for you in this format, but I can speak to the nature of your situation or your issue or your question. So please feel free to reach out. If you look in the description box below, there's a Linktree link that has an email form. You can email me there or here on my channel on YouTube. If you go to the other information or more info, I'm not sure exactly what the section is. My direct email's in there too. Yeah. So I'm so happy to hear that. I really am grateful that you guys have also gotten something out of this. I mean, I'm going to continue to, I've been saying this a lot lately. Like, that's my gift, the gift of gab. I think someone, someone had commented on one of the lives or one of the shorts that I've made over the past 29 days. Someone wrote, "This dude is the CEO of Yap, like just running my Yap trap." And I know it was someone trying to be an asshole, but I laughed so hard. So whoever you were trying to be a shady troll, and maybe you are a motherfucking shady troll, but I want you to know your trolling failed. I thought it was hilarious. And that is a title that I am taking, the CEO of Yap. In fact, I'm going to start a company called Yap just so that I can call myself the CEO of Yap. So thank you, you fucking asshole. You gave me a really good laugh. So, I think what I want to talk about today are these two questions that have come through, and we'll see where they take us. You know me, the whole point of this has been to just allow myself to show up free from requirement. I don't have to perform. I don't have to dance. I don't have to bring something. It's not a potluck, right? I'm not feeding you. You're not coming to my house for dinner. This is just an opportunity for us to create, connect, share, and see what comes through. Thank you, Fezzy Girl. Without my humor, I'm lost. Where is that? There we go. So the question, I'm a crystal therapist and have always struggled to generate lots of clients and advertise myself. It's like I feel a bit fake when I do. I've always trusted those that need me will find me, but I'm not earning a living from it. It's a dichotomy. I always laugh about it, but would really love to earn a living so I don't have to work my 3D job anymore. Your insights are greatly appreciated. So let's see. There's a couple things. So I think number one, and I've been talking about this, and maybe I'll do a standalone video just on this for entrepreneurs or specifically spiritual entrepreneurs. The old models of the past don't work anymore. The old model, and this is me speaking from my own experience and having gone through over the past 29 days. If you watch from day one of this series, you will see me arriving with that exact same question. Like, I know I'm here to serve. I know I have a purpose, but I don't know how to fucking do it. Or I don't know how to administer it. I have found some things that I have remembered and that I've realized and that have sort of come to me, and I'll share those with you. Number one was realizing that the old models don't work. For me, what I realized is I was just taking the model that I had inherited or adopted from all of my jobs in corporate America. And I just basically took the same approach and just kind of bolted my practice onto it. And this model of, it's this very kind of Western allopathic medicine approach. It's like, oh, I have a problem, so I'll just book an hour and go to the doctor or the therapist or the healer or the reader or whatever, and I'll get my answer. I'll get my Band-Aid. I'll get my aspirin, right? I'll get my pill. And then I'll, move on with my life. There's something to that. I think definitely there's a reality where people need in the moment, right? I just need some clarity. I need some guidance. I need some reflection. I need some insight from a professional. So I think that's part of it, is that we need to find new models. And what I am finding is the models are built on collaboration and community. And that I personally am really being pushed out of my solo entrepreneur status. I've had this is my fifth business, and all of them have been, a solo entrepreneur. All of them have been, an LLC or a sole proprietor of one, me. And I've had helpers along the way, and I've had people that have assisted me, but I've never had like an assistant permanently. I don't have a manager. I don't have an agent. Like, it's all just me. I don't have an accountant. Like, I have some people who have helped me out with websites and stuff like that, but that's it. That's really it. And what I'm finding is that for me, the comfort zone was just doing it on my own, being the lone wolf, being the solo act. And there's something to that. But I realize more and more that as the dream is bigger, my capacity to hold it reaches its limits. And I'm at the point where I need other people. So perhaps this is an opportunity for you to consider another model where you're collaborating or sharing in some way or something. I'm not sure, but begin to consider or ask for guidance on how to move out of this solo kind of isolated, just you and the crystals and your clients kind of model into something that is more community-based or more cooperative or has more of a group vibe or feel to it. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's doing group events. Maybe it's doing group gatherings. I'm not sure. Maybe it's collaboration. But that's what I would say. Begin with looking at new models. Number two, I want to go back to your, the marketing thing. I will say my whole life, even the businesses that I had for myself and even working for other people, marketing and promotion is always something that I have struggled with, because to me, it always felt like I was selling something. And what I realize now is, in the past, the reason that I didn't connect with the marketing thing is because I was selling someone else's stuff. I was a makeup artist for 20 years. And for a large part of that, I worked for or for makeup companies. And as much as I loved the product, as much as I loved the makeup artistry and being an artist and, helping people, I didn't give a shit. At the end of the day, it wasn't my product. I wasn't creating it. I had no investment in it. I had no skin in the game. My job was just to be a makeup artist and to train other people how to do makeup and to work with customers from time to time. And then I had a whole creative thing. But I used to think marketing was gross because I was looking at it through the lens of selling someone else's shit that I really didn't care about. So how is someone supposed to find a way to care about something that they don't, and make that feel authentic and make that feel real and not make that feel like I'm blowing smoke up your ass just to make a sale? I was never able to find that. And what I realize now is that that's because I was selling something that wasn't mine and I didn't really care about. Now, here is the sticking point for me. I basically just kind of made a broad assumption on the whole world of marketing and promotion and sales and said, that's gross. That's not for me. I don't want to do that. Well, now that I realized that the thing that was really gross was that I was doing it for someone else, right? I was promoting someone else's product that I didn't really have a hand in or a voice in. When it comes to my own stuff, that's a very, very different thing. And I have only recently come to realize that my claim that, oh, I don't want to marketing is stupid, I don't want to sell, that's phony. Speaking personally, That was just me trying to subvert my own discomfort. That was me having a little bit of a belief still rooted in the idea of I am not good enough as I am. I need to have a product or something to sell you or give you to entice you. I don't see it that way anymore. What I sell is my time. What I sell is a moment in a space, whether one on one or in a group. And that is the context through which I do my work. What I sell is content like this, right? And it's not even a sale. What I'm saying here is once I began to believe in myself, once I began to understand that my medicine was real and powerful and pure, and once I began to believe that it was the medicine that moved through me, and while I am the voice of what I do and I am the face on the package, so to speak, I am not the medicine. The medicine moves through me. And it is my willingness to just claim myself as the vessel for the divine that allows me to stop being afraid of promotion. I don't look at it as what am I selling? I look at it as what am I inspired to share today? I look at it as what has been really meaningful for me in my own journey and what could I and how could I find a way to share this with other people so hopefully they will find meaning as well. Basically, I just came back to what was the whole point of me starting this practice in the first place? And there were many reasons, but one of the main reasons was I was in a moment of my life where I was like, I don't know what the WTF is going on. That's been a constant theme. That's been a consistent theme in my life. What the WTF is going on? How did I get here? What do I do? And how do I move through this? And it was just a moment of like, well, someone else has to be going through this too. So I'm just going to start sharing my journey and my questions publicly. And that's really what has been the foundation of my practice. Excuse me. In terms of how I sell or in terms of how I promote and present, I do it because I believe in what I'm doing. That's what it comes down to. I believe in what I am doing beyond the discomfort of being told no. I believe in what I'm doing beyond the awkwardness of having a really big program that nobody signs up for. I believe in what I'm doing beyond the deflation when I have a class or a course or a workshop that I'm really stoked about and only two people sign up for it and one of them isn't able to make it live, so she just gets the recording and I'm doing a whole 3-day workshop for one person. I'm at the point now where I don't care if it's one person or a million people or no people. Okay. I've stopped looking at it as a business. I've stopped looking at it as a job. I don't work. I don't work. I have a series of passions and interests, all of which reciprocate my time and my attention and my investment. Some of them give me money in return. Some of them give me joy of the experience in return. Some of them give me skills and lessons and understanding in return. And I just do the things that I love to do. And I'm not saying that to be annoying. I'm not saying that to be, spiritually bypassing. Like my perspective and the approach that works for me, it's not a business. It's not a job. It's not work. It's my passion. And I am really fucking excited to share my passions with you. So that's the approach that I take is I just ask myself, what am I inspired to do? And when that voice in my head says, oh, well, you better do a video because you don't have any clients and blah, 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 blah. I say, no, no, I'm not doing anything just to get clients. I don't, period. Drew that line in the sand 3 weeks ago, never stepping it over again. I do what I want to do because I'm excited, inspired, overjoyed, curious to do it. That's it. That's it. And when my little friend of me says, "Oh, but you better blah, 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 and you better do the blah, 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 blah," I go, "Oh, that's an interesting idea. Thank you for that idea. Oh, that's an interesting opinion. Ooh, what an interesting perspective. Oh, I can see you're very passionate about that. Oh, wow, that's a really powerful statement." None of those are me agreeing with it, and none of those are me pretending it doesn't exist. That is just me acknowledging it in real time, going, wow, yeah, that's really interesting. Same thing if someone tells me, that because I'm a queer, intuitive person, that I'm going to hell. Oh, wow, that's a really interesting story. Wow, that's cool. That's quite a God you have there. Wow, that sounds like a really intense reality to live in. Wow, I'm so glad that's not my reality, but enjoy it. I don't care. You have every right to hate me. You have every right to judge me. You have every right to misunderstand, misinterpret, and mislabel me. I don't care. What I care about is my connection with spirit. What I care about is what I'm inspired to share. What I care about is doing what I came here to do. I'm done looking around waiting to see what everyone else is doing and asking for permission. That's just not my tea anymore. So I don't do it. So hopefully that answers some of your questions about how to generate clients. I think the more you care about what you do, the more other people will. The more you're inspired and excited and lit up by what you do, the more other people will be. I really do believe that you just find. Here's another thing. Perhaps why you're not getting the outcome you desire is you're not clear on what the intention is. Whenever I'm getting muddy results, I always go back to my architecture: energy, feeling, emotional, or experiential words. What did I think was going to be on the other side of this? What did I think was going to be the outcome, or what did I want the outcome to be? Then if the words are, well, I wanted freedom, I wanted, resources, and I wanted creative collaboration. Okay, then start thinking about creative collaboration, resources, and freedom, or whatever the other ones were, and stop focusing on so much on how to make money or get clients. Focus on the experience that you want to experience, the experience you want to create for your clients, and start finding ways to offer that. And who cares if they pay or not? I can tell you, this 30 days of showing up every single day for 30 to 40 minutes with no expectation that I'm getting paid, with no expectation that I'm getting money, with no requirement that people pay anything to sit here and watch. This has been one of the most rewarding and fulfilling and lucrative things I've done, in terms of, yes, there have been money that has come in as a result. There's also been insight. There's also been collaborators. There's also been partners. There's also been people that I've connected with that are far more valuable than $100 or $10 in my pocket, right? So I think also beginning to expand what we think payment is. Maybe it's about you get something in return, right? Maybe it's about a skill. Maybe it's about, doing sessions for someone who's a website person, or, an SEO whiz, and they can make sure that your website and all of your, posts and all of your content is getting, as many views as it possibly can. So you trade, right? I'll give you 5 sessions. You give me 5 hours of work. There's a million ways you can do it. There was one other one. Oh, right. Someone had wanted me to riff on justice. Justice, justice is an interesting one. I don't necessarily have anything specific to share on the idea of justice, although what comes to mind is, well, it's hard to say, because I think justice is a relative topic. I think justice depends on which side of the fence you're standing on. I think justice is another one of those human concepts that we love to assume that from our perspective, justice means we see what we would want to happen. Okay, well, if I'm in a fight with someone and I want red and you want blue, and I am thinking that the only way that there will be justice served is if I get red, and the other person saying the only way that justice will be served is if I get blue, well, then where's justice? So in one sense, justice is just dependent upon which side of the fence you're standing on. Justice is one of those things like right or wrong, good or bad. Who gets to decide? Who gets to decide? Then there's also the topic of divine justice versus man-made or human justice, human-made justice. There's divine justice, which is you're going to get what you put out eventually. You're going to reap what you sow eventually. There's no way around it. It's impossible not to. So nobody's escaping anything. Nobody's getting away with anything. And then immediately the human rises up and says, well, what about all those people who are harming and hurting and blah, 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 and nothing happens to them and they get away scot-free? Well, yeah, in the human realm, but not in the divine realm. It's the same thing as what I was talking about recently with like the rules of the game. We come to Earth as an infinite, limitless being, understanding that the rules of the game on this planet, in this plane of physical reality, is there are limitations. There are things that you have to do in order to play this game. It's just like stepping onto the soccer field, or the soccer pitch, the football pitch. When you step onto the pitch, there are a set of rules that everybody has to abide by, and everybody has to play by the same rules. And if you don't, you get in trouble. And then once you leave the pitch, you know that those rules aren't in play anymore. So thank you, Jane. I appreciate that. So I think justice is relative. I think justice is something that is a bit of a red herring. I think justice is one of those words like equality. I don't know if equality exists, not in the way that we've been taught to seek it. I believe in equal access, but I look at the world out there and I don't see equality in nature. If I treated all of my plants the same, half of them would die. So I give them equal access, not equality. It's the same thing. Justice is giving everything you can to the things that are meaningful and important to you and putting all of it in there and then hoping that it works out the way that you want it to work out or the way that you would prefer it to work out, but understanding that if it doesn't, justice is, it's not, a miscarriage of justice. It's being served on some level, because when something is true from the capital T universal truth, it's true on all levels. When something is a temporary truth, it is only true within a very specific context. And that's, to me, what I think of justice. When I think of justice a lot, I think of the tarot card. And in the tarot card, there is a justice card. And oftentimes, not always, because tarot is a living system, so it's not always the same meaning. But the idea of justice in the tarot is, well, there's the justice of man, the justice of human, and the laws that humans create. And I don't know of anybody who would raise their hand and say, oh, yeah, all human laws are just and fair. If you are saying that, you're either totally fucking dark-sided or this is your first day on earth. So justice, what is it? I don't know. I don't even know if it exists, because I think it's relative. I think it's one of those things that we have to know what's right for us, and we have to choose what's right for us, and we have to trust that if we find ourselves in a place where we feel like justice isn't being served, then there's a higher power at play. I think ultimately justice is like anything else. You just surrender. In the end, you hope for what you want, you do everything you can to create that reality, and you also know that in a collaboration, in a co-creation, there will always be the possibility of some sort of chaos agent that was unexpected or unforeseen, and that's just life. So I don't know if justice exists. I think human justice usually is found by those who write the laws, because those who've been writing the laws have been writing them for themselves since the dawn of organized government. So I don't know if justice exists. And I think that our seeking for it is a bit of a distraction. So I would focus more on what is true, what is correct for you, what feels accurate and appropriate and balanced for you. And if you don't see justice, then you have a choice. Accept it, change it, or let it go. Because there's nothing you can do. Ultimately, within a system such as our judicial system, which is a closed system, by the way, it has a very, very finite point in mind. It has when you winnow it all down, there's only two doors at the end of the line. There's guilty or not guilty. And so I just don't know if that is a nuanced enough and, multi-layered enough system to encompass the entirety of human experience. How can, guilty or innocent be reduced to this binary thing? I don't know. I don't think that justice exists. If I'm perfectly honest, I think justice is one of those human concepts that has been created to serve those who hold the strings when it is convenient for them. And I know that maybe sounds a little bit jaded and maybe a little bit cynical, but to me, what it points to is, do you want to live within a reality where justice is completely relative, or do you want to live in a reality where you claim accountability and responsibility for what you create? And that's your justice. Your justice is you're going to reap what you sow. Your justice is you're drinking from the pot that you're pissing in. Your justice is if you're, flinging garbage all over the room, then you're the one responsible for cleaning it up. So that's my take on justice. I don't know if that was what you were looking for, but that's what I got. And I think that's it for today, folks. Love you so much. We have one more day tomorrow, so let's make it a good one. I don't know what that means. But it will. Oh, that's a good one, My Greek. Justice is more about coming into balance, just came into my mind. Yeah, that could be it too. And that's the justice card is the Libra card. And on the justice card in the traditional tarot, you see the scales. And the idea is, and that's the sort of the medicine of Libra is the only astrological sign that is represented by a thing. It is an object. All of the other astrological signs are represented by a being, right? An animal or a human figure. So, the Libran scales are the only object. And that is often the challenge for Libra, is to come out of objective sort of air sign up here, impersonal thinking, and make it real and make it actual, make it grounded and make it rooted. So maybe justice is uh, a challenge, right? Maybe justice is an opportunity. Maybe it's a lesson. So Luciana says, what about justice for someone that was in prison because they're not rich or white? Well, I think, again, that's relative. The idea that someone is in prison because they are not rich or white and that they're a victim is wrong. This is the fundamental, y'all. This is the hardest thing for us to accept, but it's true. Everything that any human experiences ever was a choice at some level. So nothing is happening to us. From the human perspective, we can say, what happened to me? And we would say, yes, that is an accurate question. And you are assuming, and if it's true that you're only a human, then that is the right question to ask. But you're not just a human, and you're not here against your will. And everything that's happening to you is a choice at some level. So to say that someone was in prison because they're not rich or white, that happens all of the time. And certainly we could say that's an injustice, but again, it's your perspective. The people that put someone in prison because they were not rich or white, to them, that is justice. To the person who is in prison because they're not rich or white, that is not justice. But again, justice is relative. Everyone is the hero of their own story. So if you see someone being imprisoned because they're not rich or white, and that activates something within you, then go find your answers. Go create a solution. Be a warrior for that, if that is important to you, if that is your passion, if that is your purpose, if that is your path. But this idea that because someone is imprisoned and because they're not rich or white, that was an injustice, again, it depends on who you're talking to. To the people who run the prison industrial complex, to the people who are actually working with law enforcement and getting them to write laws that feed the prison system, to them, that's justice. To them, that's success. Now, I'm not excusing that. I'm not saying I agree with that, but that's the truth. Country A bombs country B. Country B says, fuck you. How could you bomb us? That's injustice. Country A says, fuck you. How come you're on the land that we think is ours? That's justice. We get to bomb you. Who's right? This is where the truth becomes painfully clear. That we can no longer continue to solve our current problems from our historical perspective. So even the narrative that this happened because those white people did it to those brown people, even that at some point has to end. We have to be willing to move beyond the labels that we put on each other. We have to be willing to sit through the discomfort, to let all the masks drop and start asking really, really hard questions of each other and of ourselves. It's really, really hard to sit and accept that we have had a hand in everything. We have played a role in everything. And the only way forward is by creating new solutions. The only way forward is by getting everybody at the table to be willing to raise their hand and say, yeah, I participated. I played a role. I had a hand in it. I had a hand in it. So it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's true, right? We have to understand that the labels of rich, white, brown, poor, black, female, male, whatever label that we're putting on ourselves, whatever we wear in our human name tag, is a temporary label. It is not true from the universal sense. It is a temporary truth. Whatever body you currently reside in is not what you are. It's the house you live in. So remember that the next time you're arguing, what perspective are you coming from? Are you coming from your human self, which is full of history and beliefs and assumptions and emotions, part of the human experience? Or are you coming from your higher perspective? Are you coming from your infinite perspective? Are you coming from the perspective of understanding that we're all just players on the field? And those who chose to come and live a life where they are imprisoned, where they are, tortured, where they are physically harmed, in whatever way harmed, mentally harmed, emotionally harmed, I mean, a million ways. I consider that those individuals are the most benevolent ones that we like. The sacrifice that a soul makes to choose to come into a body, into a life that is going to be fraught and violent and scary, and all of the things that we look at and go, how could one human being do that to another? I have such gratitude, and I am so humbled by the choice that those souls come in to live those lives, to be an example. So when we are able to say, may all beings be free, when we are able to say, every living being gets a seat at the table, every living being has a voice, every living being gets to participate. If we're making laws that run the lives of other people, then those people get to have a say in the laws and in the governance. So I think it's not about building fences and separating ourselves. It's not about isolating ourselves and saying, oh, those nasty people over there and those poor people over there. It's not about isolating ourselves in a tower of, I only want to hear the same voices and have the same conversations with people who look the same and think the same and sound the same and have the same opinions. That's not life. That's not real. That's not nature. So if anything within you or anything out there is prompting you to build a wall around yourself and cut yourself off from the rest of society, to, remove yourself or abstract yourself from life and say, oh, I can't deal with all those people over there. Those people, whatever descriptor you're using, some people would say, oh, all of those rich white people, and other people would say, all of those poor brown people. Whatever it is that you are doing to isolate yourself, stop it. That's not the answer. This is the opportunity we have right now, is to see that drawing pretend lines in the sand and calling it a border and saying that anybody that crosses this border or anybody on the other side of this border is bad and anyone on this side of the border is good. That is the opposite of what we should be doing right now. That is the opposite of what we should be doing right now. We should be coming together and having conversations to say, how can we ensure that this never happens again? Because here's the other thing. Yes, predominantly one race has been um, the victim or been, suffering at the hands of another race a whole fucking lot. Nobody can deny that. But to say that only one race has it good and only one race has it bad, and all the people with this skin color are poor and helpless and downtrodden, and all of the people with this skin color are privileged and in power and rich, that's not true either. Personally speaking, as a queer person, I am very suspicious of any politician who needs me to be a victim. And what I mean by that is I see this happening left, right, and center. Politicians making their careers on the backs of individuals who have been marginalized or otherwise excluded from society. And it happens every fucking election. Some candidate or candidates turn to the LGBT, PYT, NFT community and says, oh, you poor people. Oh, you have it so bad. Oh, you're a victim. Oh, you're downtrodden. Oh, you are helpless. Oh, okay, sure. Though we have all had those moments where we feel downtrodden, where we feel victimized, where we feel excluded. But I am not voting for any candidate who needs me to be a victim so that they can be elected. Fuck you. I am not a victim. I am nobody's fucking victim. So don't for a second think that you can pander to me and get me to buy into my helplessness so that you can win a fucking election. So be really, really, really wary of anybody who needs you to be in suffering or to be disenfranchised or to be excluded or to be traumatized so that they can win an election. Because they need you to believe in your powerlessness so that you will give them your authority. But when you realize, hey, wait, no, motherfucker, I don't need you to be in charge of my life. I need you to be in charge of things like making sure the roads are fixed and making sure that the public utilities are well served and making sure that, public schools have food and that 911 and public services have, enough people to, whatever. I need you to be sure that water is clean. I need you to be sure that the air is clean. I need you to be sure that the food and, people have open access to it. That's what I need you to do, you fucking idiot politician. I don't need to tell you, I don't need you to tell me how to run my life. I don't need you to put me in the position of a professional victim so that you can have power. Fuck you. No. That's how I really feel. So, this election year, girl, you better motherfucking think twice before you vote for anybody who needs you to be a victim. Love you. See you tomorrow for day 30. Bye.